You got North Korean troops being trained in Russia that are allegedly going to be sent to fight in the Russia-Ukraine war. And John Kirby's sounding the alarm during the White House press briefing. And we got Wonder Woman, Jackie Heinrich, stepping up to the plate and getting a little spicy and sassy, which is nice to see. So here you have North Korea deploys troops to Russia, setting off alarms in the West. Secretary Lloyd Austin called it a very, very serious issue. And remember, the Biden administration loves to downplay everything. So if they're coming out saying, yeah, this is really serious, this is not good, this is really bad, then kind of escalate it even further than that. It is not good. And if you have other countries now coming in, before it was just realistically Russia, Ukraine, right? Now you're having other people coming in and giving support in some way, shape, or form with boots on the ground. This could be the makings of a greater conflict, which we don't want to see. We're already spread thin as it is with what's going on in the Middle East. You got China surrounding and doing a war training surrounding Taiwan. You got the Houthis bombing everybody left and right. You got the Iranians wanting to get their skin into the game. They're looking for any reason to get into some conflict. You got Russia, Ukraine. I mean, everything is on edge. And that's why I said the world needs Trump back in office, because Trump doesn't want war. I don't want war. I like my life. I don't want to go fight on somebody's war and die and give up everything that I worked so hard for. Do you know what I mean? I like what I got. I like hanging out with you guys every single day. So North Korean troops have deployed to Russia and may join the fight against Ukraine, U.S. officials Wednesday. The confirmation from U.S. officials came after South Korea and Ukraine in recent days have expressed alarm at the North Korea troop movements. South Korea lawmakers have said that 3,000 North Korean troops have left Russia so far, and another 7,000 are expected to go, according to NBC. So you're looking at 10,000 troops, which is quite a bit. And look, if you're a North Korean troop and you're able to get out of North Korea, and you're probably going to get a solid meal, it ain't all bad news for the North Koreans in that sense. You know what I mean? They're probably eating pretty good. Like, this is going to war is better than living in North Korea. Thank you, Kim Jong-un. Thank you. So John Kirby squares off with Jackie Heinrich of Fox News, our Wonder Woman. And, well, she pushes back, and it's awesome. Here we go.
John, why not? Why not greenlight the long-range missiles for Ukraine's use, which is Zelensky's number one ask, as you're sounding the alarm about what could have far-reaching implications if North Korean soldiers go into Ukraine?
Well, for one thing, Jackie, we don't exactly know what these guys are going to do.
What else could they be there for?
We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know if they're going to deploy into combat or not. We don't know if they do and what strength. We certainly don't have a sense of what capability they might be able to bring to the field with them.
Doesn't this seem, though, like a couple years ago, they were staged, you had Russian troops staged on the Ukrainian border, and this administration was saying, we don't know if they're going to go in, we don't want to impose any sanctions, we didn't do it ahead of time.
No.
Why is there not a consequence first?
Well, first of all, let's not rewrite history, Jackie. We were the first country to go out publicly and say, here's what we think the Russians are going to do, here's the timeline.
Do anything about it.
That is not true, Jackie.
There was no preemptive sanction. Nothing.
Jackie, that is not true. It's true we didn't levy sanctions originally because we were hoping that the threat of sanctions might deter or dissuade Mr. Putin. You lay sanctions on before...
Did you catch that? Well, the threat was what's supposed to get them, that they were supposed to be shaking in their boots because we threatened them. And that's the problem right there. That's the problem right there. And it proves our point, does it not? I will come back to this. Does it not prove our point that Donald Trump, just him in office, was a deterrence for the rest of the world? Nobody wanted to F around and find out from Donald Trump's threats because they knew, I'll blow your ass right out of the water. I will make your fucking country a parking lot. Beep, boop, beep, boop. And he wasn't kidding either. Man was not kidding. Joe Biden makes threats. Nothing happens. Again, like I've always mentioned, they allowed the Houthis to attack not just our military troops in Iraq, but also our allies' merchant vessels over there in the Red Sea. 127 times he said, stop doing that, I'm going to retaliate. Stop doing that, I'm going to retaliate. Your words are empty at that point. I've always said, why do we allow these Iranian guys, these nut jobs and these freaking pontoon boats to sit there and fire machine guns and go after our merchant vessels? Start blowing their asses off the water. I don't even want a shot over the bow. I don't even want a warning shot. You want to come in and act like an idiot? There's one right to you. Just blow them up. I don't care. Throw a $20 million bomb on them and watch the fireworks go. That's what I've always said. Well, then Democrats come out, well, you're not for life. That's too dramatic. Well, when you put in consequences, people are going to stop doing it. When you start showing video after video of just that one shot, they're coming in from like 30 miles out and you just do the whole clip and just one shot, boom, gone. And you just keep doing that over and over again. I guess you what? They're going to think twice. They are going to think twice about doing what they're doing. But because we don't do that with the Biden administration, that's why threats don't work.
The man makes a decision, then he might as well just go ahead and do it. And we did levy sanctions on him, heavy sanctions, not just us, but around the world. Number two, we mobilized support for Ukraine even before Mr. Putin decided to step across that line. And no country has done more than the United States to make sure Ukraine is ready. So
why not do something to prevent this from happening?
Jackie, let me finish the second question, and then we'll get to your third one. So let's not rewrite history. The United States didn't sit idly by here. We've been Ukraine's staunchest and most prolific supporter in terms of security assistance. And as for the policy decision, the president remains, and we all remain, in direct contact with our Ukrainian counterparts. We're talking to them about what they need. As I said, we've just announced $800 million more, and there'll be more coming in security assistance. I just don't have any policy changes to speak to today.
Why would you not put a restriction on the type of target that can be hit, rather than the distance from a border that obviously Russia doesn't recognize, and you've got training happening with North Korean troops, I would assume, on the types of military installations that would be fair game if that decision was made.
Yeah, we'll see what the Russians and North Koreans decide to do here. As I said earlier, if these North Korean soldiers decide to join the fight against Ukraine, they will become legitimate military targets.
Jackie, we gotta go.
I do like the ending part from John Kirby there, that if they do join the fight, then they're going to be military targets. And that's exactly what we have right here. North Korean troops who join Russia in Ukraine war are fair targets, USA, from the US says. And that comes from John Kirby. Now, remember, it was only going to be 10,000, and that was 48 hours ago. Well, now, as of 24 hours ago, North Korea is expected to send now 12,000 troops to Russia. So they're just going to keep sending more and more. As I mentioned, this is a problem, folks. This is a huge problem. You might be thinking, well, what's the big deal that they're just sending them to Russia and then they go into Ukraine? Like, what does that have to do with us? Because as I've mentioned, what is going to stop them from sending even more troops, escalating the war in a bigger way, and then ultimately having the Iranians or somebody else sit there and join up as well? So when you start a snowball effect, who knows what's going to happen? And this could lead into Trump's presidency, folks. I mean, now Trump has to sit there and deal with not just Russia. Now has to, before he was already dealing with Russia, right? And he kind of sat there and calmed things down a little bit. And then Biden made it worse. Donald Trump sat there and figured out things with North Korea somewhat, and Joe Biden just made it worse. Donald Trump sat there and figured things out with China somewhat. Joe Biden just made it worse. Donald Trump sat there and basically depleted the Iranians' military and put in sanctions that basically was destroying their economy. Joe Biden sends them hundreds of billions of dollars and makes the things worse. I mean, what hasn't gone wrong with Joe Biden in office? Like everything that guy has touched or said has turned to crap, to doo-doo. And for some ungodly reason, there's people saying, yeah, it's the best president that's really ever happened. The guy sat there and sacrificed for the country. He stepped down. He really did the things he needed to do. Why don't you wake up and look at the fact that you voted for a guy that's brain's not working? Like, very similar to how my brain's not working right now. That's Joe Biden's every day, but like 50-fold. At least I have the excuse of I'm tired. He has the excuse for what? He's been in the freaking political sphere his entire life. Still can't figure it out. Well, he has the wisdom and the tenacity and the strength and the energy to lead this country in the right direction. He's the most experienced person that's on the stage right now. Well, if he's the most experienced person, and that was the most experienced person for the Democrat Party, what the hell is Kamala then? Kamala's not experienced at all. She's an idiot. She's a buffoon. It totally made sense to me this morning. You know, I'm sitting there waking up, just trying to freaking not run into walls while I'm trying to make my cup of coffee. And I'm like, you know, what the hell? This is who they have. Like, they don't have a deeper bench. This is who they put forward. It's Kamala. And then I start thinking, I go, you know, watching all these interviews, even with not showing you on the show itself, all the interviews she does, it actually made sense the first like few weeks or months as to why they didn't show for her out doing interviews. She is god awful. She is god awful. And I really do mean that. I'm not doing that to play it up or nothing. She is an idiot. And then I started to think and go, well, again, she didn't act like that when she was over here in California, but when she went to DC, she started just talking kind of like Joe and every other dweeb. And then I was thinking, well, what would the cause of that be? Like, why is she struggling so hard to answer basic questions? And I think I have an answer. When you sit there and lie, it is really hard to not only continue that lie, but also to make up something that connects to all the other lies that you said. To where if you're just being honest, like we are on the show, it's very easy to have a conversation with somebody and just answer questions plainly because you actually believe in them. Like me, I talk about the border and I talk about solutions to the border. I talk about deporting people and how you can actually do it utilizing local law enforcement, ICE, as well as you're gonna have to use the military to sit there and evac all these people out of here, deport them. You need to first solve the border. You're gonna need funding from Congress to build a border wall. And that's gonna be a lot of money. It's gonna be in the billions, but you're gonna be saving billions of dollars because under Biden's administration, he spent close to $1 trillion in 4 years. I think we could spend $100 billion on a border wall and also fund a little bit more border security. Because it's gonna take time to get that border wall built, you need to sit there and start sending the military down to the border to secure the whole thing. I'm not talking about having one guy every mile. I'm talking bringing the full brigade, baby. Keep the border open so people can come legally through ports of entry. But you need to sit there and then start going door to door and figuring out who all these illegals are, having them register as illegal aliens, figure out who has committed crimes and not, deport the criminals first, the violent gang members, get rid of all of them. I don't care where you send them to the middle of freaking wherever, and then we'll figure out the rest of them. But that's how you start doing it, and it's going to take a long time, longer than 4 years.